Is there trouble with the Democrats? Is there trouble between Biden and Harris? There's over 10 sources saying that there is trouble in paradise, that they're not getting along and tensions are rising. Are we seeing a complete meltdown of Kamala? Also, we're going to talk about the fact that now we're sending troops to Israel with missile defense. We're sending troops. Now, what we did not want to do was troops on the ground. We wasted tons of money in the Middle East before to then turn around and leave the Air Force base that we built there, the big airspace that we built there, all our goods there, to then turn around and leave it, to now go back to the same place with hundreds of billions of dollars that we left before that we could have kept safe, but instead we left it and now we want to go back. And now we're taking troops. Do you really want troops on the ground? Because this is probably not going to end too well. Also, let's talk about what a bank CEO just said, JP Morgan Chase. I believe he's going to get into politics, I really do. I think he's making a lot of big statements and some that we should heed. There's some pretty big warnings. These are the stories of the day, and we've got a few more we'll dive into. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up. It does mean the world to us, and it helps us to spread our message across this platform. So we humbly ask that you do that. Also remember to subscribe, and when you subscribe, you are entered into the giveaway each and every month. We give away hundreds of dollars worth of goods to someone just to say thank you for being a subscriber to the Max. So make sure you're entered into that. Now let's talk about the stories of the day. First, let's jump into the Kamala campaign and the tensions rising with Biden. There's a big story on Zero Hedge and Breitbart on this, but I want to hit the highlights, and I'm going to use what Colin Rugg said on Twitter. He says, breaking 10 sources say tensions between the Biden-Harris teams are fraught, with Biden's team purposely scheduling Biden's events about the same time as Harris. Isn't it funny how this old man may have the last laugh because of his staff? The development comes from President Biden's apparently siding with Ron DeSantis over Harris, where Harris was saying, look, this guy is not doing anything. He's not taking my calls. He just doesn't like us, and actually took Biden's call, and him and Biden had a good relationship over the storm is what Biden came out and said. According to Axios, senior Biden aides are furious that Biden was pushed out of his re-election bid and are unhappy with the fact of how they're being treated. So now the truth is starting to come out that shows that Biden was pushed out. Now, Biden was not healthy enough to run. We knew that. But what these people are saying, we're chided because he wasn't healthy enough to run 3 years ago. But what he had was a team around him that was being basically a puppet master to Biden. And they're saying if it worked for the first 3.5 years, why is it not going to work for the rest of it? And also, of course, for 4 more years. So were they being dishonest? Absolutely. But now they're saying they're being pushed out by the people that they brought alongside them to be the next in command. Instead of kicking us out of power, they should have waited their turn. It almost reminds me of how, Trump and DeSantis had this little scuff up back years ago dealing with 2020 and 2024. It's amazing because what it is saying, look, I got you to where Biden's saying, I've got you, and Biden's team is saying, I've got you where you're at, Kamala. You sucked it up. You couldn't even get 1%. I brought you, and now you're the VP. And instead of being thankful, you're trying to mess me over. And that's exactly what the Biden team thinks of the Harris team. Harris aides are accusing the Biden team of not coordinating with them on his schedule to help the Harris campaign out. It's funny because they've got Barack, they've got Bill, they've got Hillary, they've got all these people on the campaign trail for them because they realize how much they're losing, how their campaign is truly in a meltdown. Because the more Kamala talks, actually the worse it gets. But Biden, on the other hand, yes, he's come out and said some things, but ultimately he's almost worked against her. And they've been trying to say, hey, look, work with us and not against us. Well, what he may be doing and what his campaign may be doing is saying, forget you. You mess me over, we're going to mess you over. The White House is lacking someone in the room thinking first and foremost about how things would affect our campaign, a source told Axios. I love to see the infighting because I think it represents truly the problem they had when they elected Biden, knowing he was a weak old man, a feeble old man that could not do it. He had people around him. Barack Obama left him alone because ultimately he was able to put Kamala on the ticket. So now there's some tension and problems that are coming to the face of it. I would love to see some Biden representation and also some Biden cabinet members and some Biden family members come out for Trump. That would be hilarious. Not because I like them, not because I believe they're honest. I believe they're so, all these people in Washington are so corrupt because all they want is power. I mean, that's all they want. And so to me, it's like, you screw me, I'm going to turn around and screw you. And I think that would be an ultimate awesome thing. Again, not because I think they're awesome people or they've been done wrong. I believe they've done the country wrong by electing a man who was really not in his right mind to run the country in the first place. Now, all the while this is happening, the tensions at the White House, which is a big flipping deal, because we have troops that are now getting sent across the world. I mean, almost to a point of declaring not war, but an emergency to where we believe we need to send troops and air missile defense items to the Middle East. Some 100 U.S. troops will be deployed to Israel, and also with man anti-air battering units. Deploys the THAAD, which is an anti-ballistic missile defense system in Israel. A major development which puts American troops directly in harm's way amid tensions with Iran. You know how everybody from the establishment Republicans and also the Democrats are pushing against Iran. What I thought was better is when Trump was there, he took out a leader and then he bankrupted them because he hurt them with taking their money and making sure they didn't have relationships. That is the art of negotiation. He never had to go to war with them. He took out a leader, and he also proved the point where he can destroy them other ways. To me, what we're doing is we're aggressively putting our men in harm's way just so one of them can get hurt, to then say, oh, well, they hurt American citizens, so we've got to go to war. Is that really necessary? Again, Iran is not really a big player compared to most players that we're dealing with right now. Why do we want to spend more money to go to war in this country? Now, yes, are they funding terrorism? Yes, but the reason is the Democrats gave them tons of billions of dollars and opened their monies and surpluses back up to work in the world. If they had kept the same plans that Trump had, if you look back in 2020, Iran had no money. They couldn't do anything. And it was all because Trump played hard games with them. So you want to know about weak leadership and failed leadership, that's exactly what's happening. So again, while we have tensions in the White House and a guy who likes to lay on the beach and one who likes to talk about Doritos and beer, we're actually seeing the fact of another war, an endless war could start. Now, Trump said the other day, and I do disagree with this, he says, there's philosophers that say that the world will end in the Middle East. Well, biblically, we know that the Middle East is going to play a big part in the end of the world. I mean, we know that as Christians. So, do I believe it's a big deal that we're over in the Middle East? Yes. Do I think it's a bigger deal that if we would learn to just keep our hands out of it and try to negotiate, I think it would be better, and I believe it would help America stay smart in policy and not just help the fact of total annihilation in the Middle East with nuclear threats. Remember that the war has not been in the Middle East for a while. It's been over in Ukraine and Russia. Yes, you've built some situations with North Korea and China. But now what you're doing is you're putting all eyes back on the Middle East because we're choosing to put military people there. We're activating troops to go to the Middle East to operate systems. And again, it's not the fact of what Israel's doing or not. It's the fact of, well, people are going to keep on bombing Israel. And what's the risk if all of a sudden these American soldiers who shouldn't be over there get hit? Are you ready to send your sons and daughters over to fight a war in the Middle East again? Is this really what we want? Talking about polarized issue. I mean, you've got the cities now where people are marching on the Middle East by behalf that they're supporting terrorists. So what are we going to do when all of a sudden we see another endless wars? You're going to see a more polarized here in America, and I think it actually puts the Democrats in a catch-22, deciding what side of the fence they're supposed to land on. But I digress. I mean, the main thing is you've got to realize that you're putting troops and defense missile capabilities over in the Middle East. This is just what Republican establishment rhinos like Lindsey Graham and McConnell want, along with all the Democrats, because they want an active war back over there because they know it fattens their pockets, and it's pathetic. J.P. Morgan's CEO, which is Jamie Dimon, who I believe he would run as a Democrat. I do believe he's a little bit more moderate than most Democrats today. So I don't know if he would actually have to run as a Democrat and win, but I do believe he's playing politics. I do believe that you're going to see him maneuver into politics more. May be wrong, but he's kind of getting away from the banking. He's been selling some shares. He's been kind of putting himself in a way better spot to kind of retire. And he is a smart man. I want to give him that. But he says worsening geopolitical conditions could have a far-reaching effect on us for the whole human race, but also for the history that we're making right now. Now, one thing that you're seeing a lot of is some of these billionaires kind of doing the same thing that Musk and Trump has done. But the Musk and Trump has done on the populist freedom liberty side, where you're seeing the Mark Cubans, the Jamie Dimons, who tend to lean on the left. They want to have this same approach. Well, the thing is, the left is so polarized in what they believe. You have the AOCs, but then you have like the Bernies, but then you have things like the Hillary Clintons and the old establishment. And the Jamie Dimons and the Mark Cubans actually fit in with the old establishment more than they actually do this nuanced and new wing of the Democrats. I don't know if they're going to elect a billionaire or a multimillionaire to represent them to be nominated. Because I saw you hear Kamala say, well, I was born in a middle-class family. No, she wasn't. She was not. She was upper, higher class. But the thing is, she knows what the left want to hear. Well, Jamie Dimon and Mark Cuban can't say that. But, again, I digress. I believe you're going to see these kind of men come into politics on the Democratic side to try to bring more of a moderation back to the left to balance up what the right is doing and MAGA's doing. Jamie Dimon says there's a significant human suffering in the outcome of these situations that could be far-reaching effects in both short-term economic outcomes and, more importantly, through the course of history. We could see everything change at this point to where everything goes forward very differently. He said that the bank has been closely monitoring the geopolitical situations for some time, and recent events show the conditions are treacherous and are getting worse. He's talking about Middle East, talking about all this war. What he's saying is people are going to be in panic and fear, and it's only just beginning, and it's going to get worse based on the fact that our governments, and again, this is why I believe he's going to get politics, our governments just keep on pressing the buttons that they shouldn't be pressing. Why do we believe that going to war is a good thing? Honestly, as countries, nobody wants to go to war. But your leaderships who make money off of going to war want to go to war. That's what we have to make sure that we're putting on the forefront. No matter how bad or how good someone is, if they're an enemy or an adversary or a friend or an ally, ultimately, why do we want to send people there to die and blow other people up? War is horrendous. That should be last-ditch effort. Now, should very poignant attacks be on the table? Yes, because I believe that's what we need, especially in a failing, evil world. But to say we're going to send troops over everywhere, all we're doing is seeing the politicians pretty much fat in their pockets, because no one actually wants this but the leadership classes of really both parties. So he goes on, he says, while we hope for the best, these events and prevailing uncertainties demonstrate why we must be prepared and have the best environment possible. Now, I want you to listen to this. This comes back to my point of him wanting to get into politics. It says, as of November 5th presidential election years, Jamie Dimon has been floated for senior positions as Treasury Secretary, as U.S. economic policy, not only from the Democrats, but from Republicans. He is a brilliant man when it comes to finances. And I want you to listen to what he's saying here. I've always been the American patriot, and my country is more important than my company. So you're seeing him play towards the fact of getting more into geopolitical events and talking a little bit more about his personal thoughts on coming in and out of war. I think this is, again, another play for Trump, where Trump could say, I want a unity ticket. He could pull somebody like this, even if you don't like him or not. He would be somebody that's against, I think, war, but sees the value in making sure that we keep good U.S. economic policy and being smart versus just being tied up in politics. The one thing I like about rich people serving, I'm going to say this, and this might come back to bite me. When rich people serve, I'm not talking about people who have built wealth on the political class. I'm not talking about your political hacks that's become rich, like Nancy Pelosi making $23 million just this year. I'm talking about the people who are completely rich without the government. So meaning, if people like J.P. Morgan Chase, the leader Jamie Dimon, gets in, it's kind of like Trump. they don't actually need your money. Elon Musk doesn't need your money. So they can say, you know what, I put what I want beside me because I know if I want my kids and grandkids to have the world and the opportunities that I have, I better start thinking how I can help serve better. So I think this could be a way that even if we don't like the guy, that Trump could use him like his same way is used RFK or Elon Musk. Remember, Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Jamie Dimon, none of these people are true conservatives. But they do seem to put country first and freedom first, to where they have a libertarian spin to them, to where, look, I just want what's best for the country. Most of them can't be bought out because they have so much money, it does not matter. So this could actually benefit us. And I think that's why him, as a bank CEO, is warning, saying, look, we're in a trashy time. We're not going to get better. We're in fear and panic, and people do not have the monies. They're struggling. I think it's time for us to grow up and work together and build a great economic policy across the world, but it does not take endless wars. This could be a big step, and I think that you will see him play politics. I believe you will see him be a Democrat, but don't be deceived to think that Trump wouldn't hire him as some kind of economic role in his White House too. Again, building a unity ticket is going to make you have to swallow some of these hard choices. Vivek, who is more of a populist right-leaning candidate, but he's not, like a conservative Christian, but he is a conservative financial smart guru. So you're going to see Trump build this team, I think, and honestly, I believe you're going to see someone like a Jamie Dimon on it. It may not be Jamie Dimon, it may be somebody else, but look, if it was, Mnuchin last time or Scaramucci, remember, both those guys are not conservative. We just didn't know about them as much as we may know about Jamie Dimon. So I think Trump has a way of bringing in someone from the other side to maybe push back, maybe work together, but maybe build a better way forward. Because ultimately, if I see anything through Musk and Trump, I see the fact that they've given up a lot. I mean, the man just had another third attempt on his life. They've given up a lot to ultimately see for better futures for America and for their children and grandchildren. And I think that speaks way higher. That means more to me than anything than some politician who tends to get rich off America versus actually serving Americans. Last thing I want to mention, and this I kind of hinted a while ago with Nancy Pelosi. Political profits for this year. Nancy Pelosi is upwards of $23 million. Mitt Romney, over $15 million, around $18 million. Mark Warner, around $10 million. Rick Scott, Mitch McConnell, $8 to $10 million. Sheldon Whitehouse, Sarah Jacobs, Josh Gutenheimer, Thomas Souser, Kevin Hearn, Ron Wyden. All these guys have made multiple millions on trading the stock market. But guess what? They make $150,000 a year, which is a lot of money. But they also set policy. This shows to me lack of true integrity and leadership when it comes to Washington. Because all these people should be serving you, but actually what they're doing, they're serving themselves. They're making tons of money on themselves and giving it back to themselves. All the while you're struggling to pay for a fast food burger. That's why I get angry when I see that we're sending troops over to the Middle East. That's why I get angry on the fact that, we have Kamala setting lies, like yesterday how Trump is in hiding and he's scared, and it's all a farce. I love to see the fact that Biden and Harris are having problems and tensions because one sold the other one out. There's a lot taking place. But the tensions in the White House is scary because when that happens, you're seeing implosion with leadership. All the while we're sending troops over in harm's way. This could blow up in our face and be really bad. Guys, let me know your thoughts. Again, new Trump polls came out, and again, it's showing that he could win in a landslide. Newsweek even says that. And that's a pretty big deal. I'm hoping and praying that actually happens. A landslide would be too big to actually do anything about. And that's what we need. Guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless.
Yeah. Be free, be free, be free.